All right, we are back for season 2, live from Redhook here at the Function House. Kicking off our season number 2, we have DJ Damiano.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Thanks for coming down.
What's up, man?
Thank you.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a minute.
Welcome to the show.
I know
Thank
when he was
you.
Little Danny.
Yeah, little Danny. Back in the day, we've been friends over a long time.
And then I hear, I don't think I was with, I was at a dinner, and he's like, yeah, Damiano. I was like, who is this guy, Damiano? And then I figured
He always knew
him.
me as little Danny, yeah.
Yep.
You're not Italian, are you?
Yeah, of course. Hey, come on. Well, the accent gave it away.
It was a joke. It was a joke. So what's up, man?
Good, man. Everything's good.
So you just came off some serious.
Yeah, we did. I DJ'd the Groove Cruise, which left from Miami to Turks and Caicos, which epic. I mean, incredible
How many days were
party.
you on there?
It was about 4 or 5 days. The 5th day docking, so yeah, 4 days.
You still breathing?
Huh?
Still breathing?
Yes, I don't know, somehow. I'm telling you.
Is
it
there a
was-
hospital on that day?
Yeah, they need it though. No, it was amazing. I mean,
How many people did they have on the cruise? Do you know?
I know it was sold out, so that the capacity was like 3,000.
Wow.
So yeah, I think yeah, it was
This was the
great.
first time you did the group cruise? No, right?
No, it was the 2nd year in a row actually that I DJ it, and it was amazing. I mean, one of the best parties probably I've ever been to in my life. It was really that good. Yeah, I really recommend it for anybody that's into it. And it's an older scene too, so it's not like it's little kid raver kids, and I highly recommend it. It's amazing.
How many different parties are going on within the ship?
On the ship, there's there's always something going on. There's for all the techno heads, there was the back of the boat was the Incorrect with the Anthony Vitale and all those guys. Mm-hmm. So it was the Incorrect parties going, constantly throughout. From just
For 5 days.
didn't stop. Yeah, the music didn't stop. And then you have the main pool deck, which had a little bit more like EDM and a little bit more of that stuff for the younger crowd or whoever's into that stuff.
Okay, where were you playing?
I played in the casino, the Tech Yes Party, which I played with Harry Romero, Detlef, Camel Fat, and that was actually the first techno party of the boat, and it was fantastic. I mean, it was a great party. It was a great way to kick off the techno scene on the boat. I'm just glad to be a part of it.
So how as a DJ do you get on the Groove Cruise to play?
Well, the way I got on was last year I had a record that came out on Emerald City called Fearing Love, which was signed by Jamie Jones and Lee Foss. So once that was signed, it really got a big buzz going on. I had already went to the cruise just as the first year I went with Hadley, which is a singer I worked with the song Addicted as well. And she performed a song which we co-wrote for EDX called Everything.
Okay.
And we were invited to go down because she performed it in the theater. I went there, I was blown away by how much fun this ship was. I went there it was supposed to be business. I ended up partying the whole time, having a great time. So I ended up I ended up having this record come out, and I was already friendly with some people on the boat, and they heard about the record, like, oh, you know what, maybe you should come on and play on the boat, and that's what I did. And
So you've been producing for a while. Even before you started DJing, you were producing.
yeah.
What year did you get into that? And was Addicted the first record that...
Addicted wasn't the first record I made. It was the first successful, I would say, commercially successful song. Before that, the first record that I did was called Always Have Tomorrow, which was on Lost Language, which I did with my boy Serge Devant. And we had wrote it, and it came out very good, the song. And one night I was actually with all my friends, and we're sitting in the car, and I hear the song. So I'm thinking my friend has my cousin, it was actually my cousin, has the CD on, with my song on. I look, I see 103.5. So I'm like, is this for real right now? I'm like, oh my God, my song's on the radio, whatever. And it ended up being, at the time, he was #1 in the world, was Paul Oakenfold. Yeah. So that was actually the first record that I was like, wow.
Wow.
I had a little bit of success with
that
something.
must have felt unbelievable.
You can't repeat that feeling. It was amazing. Yeah.
So what year was it you started producing?
I used to look for apps, producing apps, what was it, Reason?
Yeah.
I used to start with Reason and Fruity Loops, early Fruity Loops.
Acid,
and all that stuff. Yeah. So I used to just download these apps and buy even these music maker. Actually, the first time I ever tried making music was a video game, which was an MTV. It was like an MTV video game that you could create music on. I started learning how to sample stuff and do stuff with the MTV video game thing. So I've always been, I got hooked to it. I love it,
And this was around what year?
This guy doesn't want to date himself. I
don't know.
Well, I mean, he just got back from the Groove Cruise, so he's probably
you're talking the 90s. I mean,
wow.
exactly what year, I'm not sure.
But I mean, what you know, everybody tells their story when they come on the show. You know, like how did you get into DJing?
Okay, well, especially like let's say with electronic music, I have when I was about maybe 9 or 10 years old, I was in the car with my older cousin, which not that older. I mean, he was 17 and just started driving, and
Yeah.
we were driving in the car, and he was blasting Witch Doctor by Armin van Helden. And I always loved music, and I was always just a music person. I used to make my own little mixtapes and all that stuff. So I heard this Witch Doctor. I'm like, what is this kind of music? You know, what is this sound? And ever since then, I was always drawn to like the electronic.
So you were 10? You would,
I must have been,
yeah, 93, 94, yeah.
yeah. Maybe I was 11, 12.
I was 13.
Yeah.
I remember that
So,
record.
yeah, it was that record really set me off. But at the time, there wasn't the technology like today, where you could find music so freely. There wasn't no internet. There was no nothing. So
You had to go
I used to
searching.
go to Nobody Beats the Wiz, and like go look at like Techno Party 10 to go. I was always searching for like this kind of sound, this kind of music. And then when I got older, finally I ended up hitting the New York City nightclub scene, and I found the sound, and I've been going with it ever since. You know.
So Addicted was that one record that
Yeah.
that actually got recognized for.
Yeah, yeah, that was definitely still to date the biggest record that I did.
But when that record came out, you weren't really getting booked for DJing yet.
No, what I was doing, I was actually working with Hadley. We were doing shows internationally. So she was performing the song, and I was the DJ going along with her. So that's the way that went, because I was a co-writer on this track. I wasn't a co-producer. So just as a writer on the back end, I ended up doing more shows with her and kind of managing the shows with her and helping her out.
How long did that go on for when you were doing the shows?
A couple of years, 2-3 years. I mean,
Wow.
we were number one in Russia for like 14, 15 weeks.
Wow.
And so they invited us down for the Europa Plus show. It was like 100,000 people. And she performed the song there, and I was there. They flew us all out. And it was, I mean, amazing. And really a nice, good moment for that record. It was nice.
Wow, so traveling around the world.
Yeah.
So when you used to go with these shows, obviously you were the DJ behind the scenes when she was performing.
Right.
Did that spin off into any gigs while you were traveling abroad?
Not necessarily. I mean, because some of the gigs were so far that it's not like I could just, they're going to book me the following week somewhere. You know, 'cause we did like Egypt, we did Kazakhstan, which is a mission far away. It was actually a beautiful country. Don't believe all that Borat stuff. It's a beautiful country. And no, nothing in terms of internationally really spun out from that. It was more a show just about the record, about Addicted, and that's where that went.
So that record was around what time again? What year was that?
2009?
Okay.
Oh, wow, I thought it was early.
2008? I'm not sure, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's going to start Googling that. Watch, I'm wrong on my own record. You know?
Your own record.
I might be wrong, I don't know.
So did that like sort of kickstart, you know, any type of remixes or anything like that?
What that sparked it, because for me, my biggest strength, even over production, is songwriting. So I'm a songwriter. What that sparked was other, like, different labels and different people trying to reach out to try to co-write records for. Well, that's how the EDX thing came about. Was because of Addicted. They reached out. Oh, this is the co-writer. Let's do something. Let's collab. So more of the writing thing came about with it. The only problem was at that time I liked the sound, and as the months passed, it kind of went into more of like the EDM sound and more of like that kind of like Swedish House Mafia sound.
Yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
like went against really my style of writing. So it was kind of that's why I kind of rebranded myself, because it wasn't the direction I wanted to go in.
Okay.
You know.
The direction of what your record was, or what EDM was.
What I want to portray as an artist
Right.
wasn't it just where it was projecting. Like, in other words, whatever came from that record,
Yep.
in terms of where that style was going, wasn't where I was artistically. So I kind of backed away, and I kind of wanted to just
it was
rebrand
EDM.
myself.
EDM,
E-
exploded
EDM, yeah,
2008, 2009.
Which is, listen, people like music, is no,
Well, I
nothing
mean,
against them, but it was just something where
No, it just doesn't fit your style.
it just doesn't fit the kind of songs that I want to write.
So did you think about jumping on the EDM bandwagon?
And I did, yeah, because what happens. Listen, like I said, I'm no spring chicken, like we were talking about earlier. You're hitting 30, you're like, all right, I have these opportunities. Maybe I had actually opportunities to write like for Tiesto and a lot of bigger Snoop Dogg. So I had these opportunities to write for them. And the problem was I was trying to write like kind of, I don't want to call it corny because people like this kind of music, but like that corny hook with like the weird melody and like just like pop, but like corny pop. So I'm trying to like write that way when it's not in me. I like more vocals that are deeper, more lush, more, deep kind of stuff.
Right.
So because I seen the opportunity, the money did kind of draw me to it. So I was trying that, but it just wasn't working. It's, even though it's all house music, the difference in genre-wise to that is it might as well be country and rock, hardcore rock and roll. It's like, it's such a difference,
It's a big difference, yep. So I think the earlier days of EDM, actually when it first came on the scene, it wasn't EDM yet, right?
Right.
It wasn't considered EDM. And
Right,
then
it was
that
progressive house.
Right, it was progressive house.
Yeah.
But then now it's turned to something that's just like,
Yeah.
it's just...
I don't knock anybody that likes, listen, music is for whatever music you like. If it takes you away from your everyday struggles in life, whatever it does for you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock anybody because they like EDM or they like trap or they like whatever, dubstep. You like it and that takes you to another place in your life. I'm all for it.
But I think it's the age groups, right? Because
Well, the younger kids.
all the younger
are into
kids are into the EDM, and it's
Right.
good for these big shows, and they're all there and jumping
Well,
around.
it became an industry, it became a money thing, so
Yep.
they brand these things, it's about money. It became, whereas for me, when I came up in New York scene, it was about the party, it was about the scene. It wasn't about the money at all.
Right.
It was all about the party.
Let me...
So-
Okay, I'm sorry. No, go.
So how often are you producing now? How often are you in the studio?
Almost every day I'm in there, always trying to come up with something different, something unique.
What are you
And
using? Logic?
I use Ableton Live.
Ableton.
Ableton Live. I used to use Logic, and then a couple of friends of mine told me, you got to try it live. You got to try live, and I did, and now I'm doing live. And we have a new record actually coming out in a couple months that it's got a good buzz going in the underground. That was performed at one of the biggest festivals in the world, actually. But and it's getting some buzz online. We don't want to say that it's our record yet. We kind of just want everybody to guess what it is,
So
and
what's the name of the record?
that I can't say.
Are you going to play it
But-
tonight?
No, I can't play it. I'm not gonna play it yet. No. So we
Okay.
want to build it up, but it looks good.
So
It's on a
basically
very
you're just hyping it up
a
right
very very big underground label, and I'm looking forward to it.
now. So your new record that's out now, High and Low, is signed to Subliminal.
Subliminal
So
Records.
how
Yeah.
did you hook up with Subliminal? They came to you?
Okay, what happened with Subliminal is I DJ some of the Brooklyn underground scene, and I hooked up with this girl, Julia Nico, and she was friends with this girl Harper, who's a vocalist and DJ,
Okay.
and she said, "Oh, we should do something together, whatever." And she sent me a clip of Harper singing. I liked it. I thought she sounded very good. I said, maybe we'll do some. I had this instrumental that was put together, and that I was putting together, and she came over. We wrote the song a couple days. We ended up sending it to Eric and his manager Javier. We sent it to them, and they liked it. They took it, and that was it.
That's it.
Yeah,
So now you have Javier on the horn.
yeah,
You just start sending them tracks.
yeah. That's it. Right away. It's done. Just send it right away.
Let me get your thoughts on ghost producing. How do you feel
Okay.
about that? Because I know there was like something floating around on social media
Right.
about somebody reaching out to a pretty relevant producer that's out there,
Right.
asking him if he would ghost produce
If we would
for
ghost
them,
produce.
and they would pay. How do you feel about that? And would you ever ghost produce?
Or have you ever ghost produced?
I wouldn't ghost produce, because if I'm putting my heart in a record and I feel like I'm putting my heart in it, I want people to know that it's my art. I'm not gonna give it to anybody else. In terms of the ghost producing, when you go to, again, the EDM level, it's again, like I was saying before, business, right? It's about
Right.
money. Once you go to that higher level of like EDM DJs, the ghost producing, that they do that because of the money, and it becomes a business. All right, hire a ghost producer. We'll put this guy up in front. We'll make him the DJ, a good-looking young kid. We'll make him sell out shows, and somebody produces music. Once money gets involved in anything, it's gonna cloud
It's
it.
the Milli Vanilli of
It's gonna exactly, yeah,
DJs.
yeah, exactly. Milli Vanilli producers, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So you wouldn't ghost produce.
No, I wouldn't. No,
What if somebody gave you a check for 100,000?
I'd have to think about it. I mean, without there's not as much money in the business, especially underground. It's more
it's-
about
I'm
the
sure
scene.
the
and
checks are
stuff.
more like 10 and
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it's crazy how it's changed, because like at one time when remixing was so big, like remixers were getting paid $50,000 to do a remix.
Back then, because again, the technology wasn't there, so anybody who was on the tracks, whatever, however they were making the records. I wasn't even doing it back then. It was a lot more work to do a remix and do a record. You're talking, especially in New York scene. I think of all the old guys, and they were getting paid tremendous money, tremendous. But now anybody with a laptop, that's it. You just make a beat,
Yeah.
So going into like a gig, like the Groove Cruise,
Mhm.
did you like practice, prepare? How do you go into a gig like that?
I'm a prepare freak. I love preparing for anything I do. I just want to make sure I'm prepared for any scenario. So what I do, I make a playlist for every gig I do, and I'll prepare it in terms of an energy level. So I'll go from like whatever I think in my mind is that energy level all the way to whatever the 30th track may be. And then I play with that list, however, but sometimes I jump off the list, but I always like to have somewhat of an idea what I'm looking
sort
to
of
do
structure
for the show, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did you set something up like that for this?
I did, yeah. I figure, I show my different side. Again, we're talking about like Addicted and all that. My sound now is more techno and more underground melodic techno, deep techno kind of stuff. So that's the direction that I went in.
Are there any particular DJs that you like to go out and hear? Are there any particular producers that you are following and you're playing these days in your sets?
My sets. I mean, I like a lot of Maceo stuff, Maceo Plex. Nobody in particular. I don't just follow an artist and play all his records. There'll be a time where there's one artist that'll like make 3-4 records in a row that I'll love and I'll play, and then I won't like the rest of his stuff moving forward. I'm not biased towards like who I follow and all that. No.
Who inspires you right now? What DJs inspire you?
Nobody.
Producers?
No, not necessarily. I've always looked at the scene and with music on the outside looking in. Like I don't look at it like a fan of a DJ. I've never been like a real fan of a DJ. I've always looked at it like, why are people fans of that DJ? I've always been analyzing this in that way, So I can't say I really like follow certain DJs that way. No.
What
I
about
like Solomon? I like Maceo Plex. I like some of these guys, but it's a little.
Did you go
deeper
check
sound.
him out when he played the warehouse party in Sunset?
No, I didn't. No, I skipped that one.
He got on at like 5 in the morning.
Did he?
I
Yeah.
was way gone.
You were way gone.
Yeah, we stopped by in the. That was the night we stopped by, right? Yeah.
45 minutes. We found out he was going on at 5 in the morning. And
All right, that was that.
packed it up.
Yeah.
A lot of these parties, that's what that's how it goes.
So so you said you were playing like or you still are playing like the Brooklyn Underground scene.
Yeah.
So what's that like? I mean, like the scene. Obviously, there's a very big underground scene in Brooklyn.
Right.
Started in all these Bushwick. There's parties, right?
Bushwick, Williamsburg.
Williamsburg.
Yeah.
So what's that like?
I mean, that's the true hardcore house and techno fans of New York. I think it even needs to build even more.
It will.
I think.
It definitely is.
Yeah, it is, but
Yeah.
I think it needs to build even more. I think sometimes people need to put politics aside with certain, let's say, promoters and whatever else. I think if everybody would unite and make one house, we could be. I mean, I think New York would be unstoppable.
The Function House.
But there's too many. There you go. This is the house right here.
That's what we're doing.
Exactly.
Well, it's interesting to see what's going on with these places in Brooklyn, because what you're so used to seeing like in Manhattan with like the Pasha, which is not there anymore, and Space Ibiza, you have all these big name, big room DJs that are playing, right?
Right.
And it's sort of changing, but what you're seeing in Brooklyn, especially with like the new place, Shkamansky,
Yeah.
like I'll be honest, like every time I see the bill, there's a lot of guys like I'd never even heard of before
Right.
that are playing on that bill. So
Right,
what you're
right.
seeing now is that it's no longer just these big guys. And I'm sure like a lot of these guys that are on the bill are pretty relevant, but it's just like there's so many now. So you're seeing like
So many DJs.
So many DJs.
So many DJs. But at least I like when places like that at least give a chance to kind of the unknown. The unknown, because there's just so many talented people out there, So just because somebody maybe has a record or whatever it is, he'll get a gig. But meanwhile, there's so much good talent out there. It's just the way the game goes, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, how are you with social media?
That's probably one of my weakest traits of social media. I'm not big on like posting every day and what I'm doing and like selfies. I'm lucky I've taken 3 selfies my whole life.
But when you're working, you're posting, right?
Yeah, when I work, I post. Yeah. But I'm not a big social media guy. So it's just not a. I got other things on my mind
How
than
do
to
you
post what I'm doing.
How do you feel about the people who constantly go live.
Oh my God.
And they're like just
Yeah.
you know like they'll be taking a shit and they're just going live.
It's getting out of
Yeah,
hand.
like-
And anytime you scroll your Facebook feed live, you know, you see one viewer, two viewers, one viewer, two viewers. Like, what are
Some
you doing?
people go live.
Yeah, it just everything. Yeah,
Everything they do.
yeah, it's getting out of
crazy.
hand. They need to cut that down a little
I
bit.
know, man.
Well, we're
it's
going
nuts.
live tonight, and
Yes,
we're
we
happy
are.
you're here.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Looking forward to hearing you play.
I appreciate it.
I
Thank
want
you
to
for
hear
having
some
me.
music that you made.
All right.
All right.
All right.
So we're gonna take a 2-minute break, and we're gonna get
Before-
Little Danny.
Before we take a break, is there
Little
any
Danny.
because we like the interview goes by like 30 minutes goes by like that, so we
Right.
just want to make sure is there anything like you didn't say or you want to say or you
No,
wanna
I
talk
just
about?
appreciate you guys having me on. I love what you guys are doing. It's a fantastic idea, and that's it. Yeah, just look out for my music in the future. It's Damiano, not Little Danny.
We're gonna get Damiano
And,
up on the tables.
We'll make it happen.
Kicking off season 2.
Definitely. Thank you, guys.